završe rezultati ću vam ja doneti. Sad ću provjeriti odmah ovo. Odmah.
Koliko sporava? Ovo je sad 30. Pa tu je kraj. 3. Onda budemo ja. To je sad biti se neki. Nema niko iz studijske organizacije koji to radi. Njihove sistema da nego sad nema niko koji nema veze sa tim koji provodi proglašenje da ide da vidi šta sad da radi. Kvalifikuje se, ja neko da rekao. Ao, bra. Neko neprijatno, nešto to se događa. Ovo žena mene napala kako dozvoljava. Ja mislim, samo sam izvođač sadova. Ja dajem ono što mi oni... Ja treba da provedem, koga mi dovedeš da mu dam pehar. Nisam ja kompetentan da odlučuje ko će da tuđe konekciju. Sudi odlučuje kome ide pehar. To su pravila. Samo poštujte pravila i biti sve u redu.
Evo, polako da predstavimo one koji će trčati trku juniorki na 6 km i 400 metara ili 4 kruga. Dakle, startni broj 10 imaće Nika Rašiće. Pardon, evo ovako. Dakle, startni broj 53 Jana Rajić.
Good morning and welcome to coverage of the Belly Cross, the White Cross here in Belgrade. We've got 4 wonderful cross-country races coming up for you over the next 2.5 hours or so. This is the 37th edition of the White Cross Cross Country. It's a World Athletics bronze level cross-country meeting this year. This event normally takes place in January, but it has been moved to this March date, especially as a practice for the organisers for the World Cross Country that takes place in just 2 weeks' time here at the Friendship Park. It's on the banks of the Danube, right in the heart of Belgrade. This is the junior women just getting themselves ready to start the race. They're going to do 4 laps of the course here for 6.4 kilometres. It's going to be the same setup for the junior men. They get underway at 12:05 local time. Then we've got 2 senior races, the senior women at 1:05 and the men at 1:50. Both races will do 5 laps and they'll cover 8 kilometres. We'll look at the start list for the junior men, I think that one is. The junior men will get underway next. They'll be at 12:05. So this junior women's race underway in the next couple of minutes. I'd expect this to take around about 25 minutes maybe for these athletes to do just over 6 kilometres. So we'll have a short break between races today. That's our plan for the coverage. We do hope you're joining us on a European athletics platform and you've been enjoying all of the live athletics we've been streaming through 2024 so far. A whole host of indoor meetings. We had the European Clubs Cross Country Championships a couple of weeks ago and we're back for some more cross country today here in Belgrade. Junior women just being lined up correctly. It's Una Mrdanovic just on the inside there in the black 004. The athletes have been very well behaved here. It's a lovely day in Belgrade. Last time I checked it was about 16 degrees Celsius and you can see it's barely any wind. The trees very still in the background. Really good conditions for cross-country running and this is very much what the organisers will be hoping for in 2 weeks' time when we have those World Athletics Cross-Country Championships here, the very same venue. 51 there, Helena Mishevich. I think she might have a sister, Tia, running as well. Both got the same surname and a similar club vest on. Mishevich there, 51, and the other one, Tia, might have a 54 on, a little bit further down. You can see some of the athletes able to compete in trainers here, which indicates it's really not as muddy as some of the cross-country courses we see around Europe, particularly if you think about those ones we have in Belgium throughout the winter. And Great Britain, of course, they love a bit of mud there. But here we are in Serbia with the under-20 women's race for the white cross-country. We've had 2 races already, the under-16 events going off. But now we've combined the under-18s and the under-20s into this junior women's race, and we'll have a junior men's race afterwards as well.
Devojka koja je prošle godine je bila 5. na juniorskom prvenstvu Europe na 3000 metara stiplu. Ostalom, ona je u toj disciplini rekorderka Srbije u konkurenciji juniorki.
You can see there are some small tarmac paths here in the Friendship Park, and those will be left alone if they're okay, if they're deemed okay to run over. But when we look to the World Cross next week, I do believe that some of the tarmac paths will have bark or matting over them so that the athlete's spikes won't interfere. But it's quite heavy grass here in Belgrade. That's the sort of surface that's pretty hard to run on. It looks okay because it's not muddy and it's not that hilly, but that kind of tough grass like that can be very, very energy sapping. 2 early leaders in this junior women's race, just stretching themselves away. So 52 and 58. The young lady with 52 on her chest is Lenka Nikolic, and 58 is Mera Memedovic, both of Serbia. So Memedovic has got some really impressive track credentials and track personal bests, so she was one that I was looking for in this race. And the 58 there, they both look like they're running in the same club vest. Perhaps teammates as well, might be used to running against each other in training, and they're doing it here in a race today.
Pogoduje onima koje dobro trče na atletskoj stazi, a to sad upravo pokazuju trenutno 2 najbolje atletičarke, 2 vodeće, Mera Mehmedović i Lenka Nikolić. Vrlo jako su počele, evo, već sada se...
So Nikolic doing her best to run with Memedovic at the moment. Nikolic is a member of the Novi Pazar Athletics Club in Serbia.
Vrlo dobar tempo, oni imaju sada već nekih 30-40 metara prednosti odnosu na Jovanu Stanković i Janu Rajić koji rade sa...
And so is Memedovic. I was just having a quick look up. They're both registered as members of the AK Novi Pazar running club. These two will spend many an hour each week, I'm sure, racing against, training with each other. Sometimes you race in training, but not all the time. You have to keep a little bit of energy back for race day. But they're going toe-to-toe here as well. Mera Memedovic, the athlete with blue shoes on there with number 58 on her chest, for me seems to be just edging ahead, just asking questions perhaps of Lenka Nikolic. They will do 4 laps of this course here in the Friendship Park. Lots of loops in on themselves, wiggling around. So if we look over towards the left-hand side, that field over there will be used for the World Cross Country, I believe. Today we're just staying in sort of the first field, if you like. Petra Shebeshan of Serbia, being highlighted here with the blue crop top on. Most of the athletes in this race are from Serbia. We've got a couple from Bosnia and Herzegovina and one from Croatia as well. I'll try and catch up with the rest of those athletes. Number 54 is Tia Mišević. Helena Mišević and Valentina Radović running together here. 220 athletes from Serbia. So anyone that's run cross country will recognise here that this ground isn't quite as easy as it looks. It's quite long grass. It's almost like when someone says go and race on a horse racing course and everyone thinks that sounds good, horses run very fast on that, and you get there and it's actually very tough underfoot. Looks like some harder running here around this section of the course. I think these athletes are just embarking perhaps on their second of their 4 laps. In fact, maybe this is just the end of the first lap. They've got to make themselves their way back round to the Eternal Flame Memorial. Big white pillar. It's just behind them as they started. So still Mehmedović leading the way, number 58, just ahead of her teammate Lenka Nikolić. So Mehmedović, athlete with the blue shoes on at the moment. She has got track credentials, a 2:15 for 800, 4:25 for 1500, 9:38 for 3000 metres. So plenty of leg speed and that speed endurance there for the 3000 metres. She was 76th at the European Cross Country Championships for Serbia. Second athlete home. The third athlete home for the Serbian team. Sima Muric, the lead runner at the European Cross Country Championships for that junior squad, goes in the senior race. She is still a junior. She was eligible to compete here in this 6.4 kilometre race, but she's chosen to go up and test herself against the senior women. So we'll see how she gets on later on. It's around about 1 o'clock local time, 1:05. Andela Markovic of Serbia just coming through the picture there. So that's the chase pack. We're just starting to see the back of them. I think I can make out Elena Pushkar, under 18 athlete, perhaps in 5th place. But this, for the first time, are we just starting to see Mehmedović stretch away from her teammate? Maybe not. It's almost like she waited for her there. Mehmedović looking very smooth though, looking very comfortable here. Lenka Nikolić holding on in there. I think this might be 2nd place there. Elma Hasanbasic and Lara Franjakovic of Croatia. And the athlete in the blue vest there at 62. So these two, I believe, are battling it out for 3rd and 4th. Franjakovic just starting to flounder a little bit. Looks like she's working really hard to stay with Hasanbasic. Hasanbasic is a steeplechaser, so she'll probably enjoy this tough ground here. Still Mehmedović and Nikolić at the front. These two, right from when the gun went, separated themselves from the rest of the field. Okay, so Franjakovic and Hasanbasic are battling. They're just at the back of that chase pack here. You can see there are 2 chase packs. So 1st and 2nd closest to us. third, fourth, fifth all running together. And then 6th and 7th is Hasan Basic alongside Franja Kovic.
Bore se devojke, odlično. A vidimo već da su gotovo sada prešle 2/3 drugog kruga vodeće Mejra Mehmedović i Lenka Nikolić.
So Mehmedović and Nikolić just well into their second lap here, I think. Nearly up to 10 minutes on the clock. I mentioned 6.4 kilometres for these women. We're looking at somewhere between 20 and 24 minutes. Apologies if you've just lost pictures. I've lost pictures briefly. I'm sure we'll be back in no time. And apologies if you've just lost the signal there, but we are back here with the White Cross Cross Country meeting from Belgrade. Mentioned at the start of the programme that this race normally takes place in January and it's been moved to March as a chance for the organisers to practice proceedings for the World Athletics Cross Country Championships that take place in 2 weeks. And part of that does involve the technology, does involve the camera work and the transmission of that. So we did have a tiny blip there. The athletes are just continued their way through this race. It's still a lead for Mejra Mehmedović, and she's almost willing her teammate here on Lenka Nikolić, saying, stay with me, stay with me. These two are part of the Novi Pazar Athletics Club. Mejra Mehmedović, I think, has been quite patient through the first 10-12 minutes or so of this race, and she's just starting to stretch away now. The 63 here, Jovana Stankovic, separating herself in third place, I think. Nikolić right back in it. Perhaps just a slight bad patch for the under-20 athlete from Serbia, because she's managed to close the gap on her teammate Mehmedović. And now Nikolić takes the lead, so perhaps a bit of team tactics from these two. So for the very first time, Lenka Nikolić is the athlete in the lead. So Nikolic to the fore at the moment. Oh, they are very much trading blows there, Nikolic and Mehmedovic. This is the presentation for the under-16 race that took place just before this race. Nika Rasic took the win, but she's just patiently waiting for the other athletes. Apologies, that's the start list. Let's have a look and see if we can find the result of that race. Presentation there for the under-16 girls race that took place earlier on. Still a real tussle here between Lenka Nikolic and Mira Mehmedovic. I mentioned Mehmedovic has got personal bests of 2:15, 4:25 and 9:38 over 800, 1500 and 3K. Lenka Nikolic is just a little bit behind that. The athlete in pink shoes, 2:21, 4:36 and a 10:04. Still brilliant times for a 17-year-old. But on paper, Lenka Nikolic isn't as fast as her teammate Mira Mehmedovic. The athlete in blue shoes looked like she was waiting for her teammate Nikolic at some points, and then Nikolic forged ahead. These two working hard to keep the gap over the rest of the field. I think it's Jovana Stankovic of Serbia in third place last time we saw. But these two really stretched out ahead of the rest of the athletes in this under-20 race. So it's the presentation for the under-16 boys. Mihailo Jasic took third. Nikola Paljasevic took second from Bosnia and Herzegovina. And the winner was Kaid Kotza from Serbia. And he won by 9 seconds or so, 5 minutes 49 for him. I think it was just one single lap of this course here for the under-16, so a bit of a sprint and perhaps a bit of a practice for the organisers for the mixed relay cross-country event. That'll be 4 by 1 lap. Let's see, how many cross-country runners can you fit on the top step of a podium? Maybe 3 under-16s. I'll have to see as the event goes on if you can keep getting 3 competitors up on that top step for a lovely picture. So still Nikolic and Mehmedovic. If you are getting yourself set up for the day, for your Saturday, we've got 4 races here. The junior men's race will get underway in about half an hour. The senior women's will take place in about an hour and a half, 1 o'clock local, 1:05 local time. And the senior men at 1:50 local time. And that will feature Elzan Bibic, one of Serbia's best endurance runners ever. He holds so many of their national records. But he is going to face some stiff competition from the likes of Bernard Koros and Hilary Kimeo in the senior men's race. They'll go over 8 kilometres to finish this programme. And I think we've got around about 8 minutes left here for this opening race, the under-20 women's race. Still Lenka Nikolic and Mira Mehmedovic. This could be their penultimate circuit here in Belgrade. Lenka Nikolic has given way again to Mira Mehmedovic. That's a real increase of pace for Mehmedovic. From these camera angles we've got here at Belgrade, it looks pretty flat, this course. I'm wondering whether Mehmedovic is using a different section of the course to get the advantage over her teammate. Big increase of pace here for Mehmedovic. So number 58 at the moment, Mehmedovic striding away. She has represented Serbia at the European Cross Country Championships before. And most nations for the World Cross Country Championships have announced their teams. Most had to pick last week to get their entries in. And I wonder if Mehmedovic will have another chance to run on this course in a couple of weeks with a Serbian vest on. It's Lenka Nikolic in second place at the moment, giving a very good account of herself. Local commentator getting very excited about Jana Rajic, number 53. I wonder if she's pushing herself up into third place, but leader at the moment, I do think, is this woman, number 58, Mehmedovic. If you look at the way the athletes are running, their posture and the cadence, perhaps we are on a bit of a downhill section here, so maybe Mehmedovic did use a slight incline just to separate herself from Lenka Nikolic. But Mehmedovic full of running here. She looked comfortable through the early stages of the race. Nikolic is fairly comfortable here in second place. She's had to give way to her teammate for the win. Mehmedovic has disappeared off around the field. Lenka Nikolic is comfortably in second place. She's not in danger of getting caught by anybody else. Just a reminder, this is a look at the course that will be used for the World Athletics Championships. Many nations have sent their team management here to have a look at it. But if they haven't, they might be having a look at the video. And if you look off to the left-hand side of the picture here, I do think the World Cross Country course will go and utilise the other field off over there. We're just staying in the first field here for the White Cross Cross Country event. Mehmedovic full of running. I think this is her embarking on her final lap. Lots of twists and turns here in the Friendship Park in Belgrade. And just behind her there is where the park slopes down into the Danube River. Tia Mishcevic, number 54 there. Many of these officials here we see in pink bibs, I'm sure will be the same people that will officiate at the World Athletics Cross Country Championships. Just getting their eye in on what this course looks like with athletes running around it. So Mehmedovic is, I think, about to start lapping runners, such as her speed here on her final of 4 laps. So Mehmedovic working hard here, testing herself, getting a bit of a training run, because she's pulled away from all the other athletes here in this race. Her and her teammate Nikolic separated themselves pretty early on, and then Mehmedovic looked like she was trying to encourage her teammate that those two could run together for 3 laps. And then on this final circuit, look at the gap that Mehmedovic has opened up on the rest of the athletes. Second place just going around the corner in the distance. It's Mehmedovic on the inside of the circuit here, wiggling around, lots of hairpins. And she has been directed towards the finish line. You can see the officials pulling the tape over, and one of the lap runners behind will be sent off on another lap. But Mehmedovic will take the win here at the white cross-country event in Belgrade. She heads back down towards the start-finish line. She left a few moments ago. She's going to get a chance to cut the tape and take the applause of all the spectators and the officials here today. Mehmedovic pumping the arms, finishing strongly. This whole last lap has been a wonderful effort from her and a fun day out. Commanding win for Mehmedovic. Lenka Nikolic coming in second place. Nikolic did well to run with Mehmedovic as long as she possibly could, the two teammates from Novi Pazar Athletics Club. Taking the spoils here, first and second. Nikolic celebrating her second place finish there. Wait for the third place athlete to come across the line, number 53. Jana Rajic, the under 18 from Serbia, so one of the youngest athletes in the field. We have got a few under 18 athletes. But Rajic coming through to take third place. She was running with a big group for quite a while. Jana Rajic must have separated herself from those athletes. A really strong finish here from Rajic, comfortably in third place. Elena Pushkar coming through for fourth place, another under 18 athlete. We saw Pushkar running with Rajic, and there was another athlete in the red vest as well. They've really splintered apart. They were running as a pack for probably 3 of the 4 laps. But they've ended up quite spread out here on the last lap. And fourth place will go to Elena Pushkar. Jovana Stankovic was in third place earlier on in the race. She was leading that chase pack. So Rajic and Pushkar just get away from her in the closing stages. I think that is Stankovic in 6th place at the moment. A bit of a charge on for number 62. Franja Kovic, I think, from Croatia. I think we'll see a brother go in the next race. Franja Kovic doing her best to muster a sprint finish here, but it will be 5th place for Jovana Stankovic. That leaves us to wonder what's happened to Elma Hasanbasic. She was running with Franja Kovic for much of the race. She'd be the one we're looking for in 7th place, perhaps, Hasanbasic. But for now, it's Jovana Stankovic in 5th place. Lara Franja Kovic in 6th. And is this Hasan Basic in 7th?
Na 7. poziciji takođe odličan potencijal Elma Hasan Bašić, Bosna i Hercegovina.
That is Elma Hasan Basic, number 61, making her way into 7th place. Could be Andrea Markovic, trying to make out the bib number here. Markovic is number 59, and that looks like it could perhaps be a 59 on the chest here for this athlete. Markovic just confirming with the officials that she is on her 4th lap, and that gets her to spin round all the way on this right-hand hairpin to head for the finish line instead of getting sent out on another lap. Markovic could be our athlete to complete the top 8 here in the under-20 race at the White Cross cross-country event. This is a World Athletics Bronze Tour event, so in those senior races we have points available, ranking points for cross-country.
Bravo iz Angelo Marković.
So Andela Markovic, 8th place in the under-20 race.
I mislim da je ovo Mišević Indija. Bravo.
This is one of the Misheviches. There's 2 of them down there. I think that could be Tia Mishevic coming through for 9th place. That's the back of Petra Shibeshin. Shibeshin will finish in 10th place here.
Petra Šebeš je završila, bravo.
This athlete here is just entering the last of the hairpin turns. Una Mladenovic. Just getting our eye in here on the course. It seems when the athletes are heading back away from the start-finish line, it's uphill. So the start-finish line is behind this athlete here to the left-hand side of the screen. So it seems like there's a slight incline as you run from left to right across our screens. And I think we've seen some of the athletes, particularly Mladenovic, use that to her advantage to break away on that 4th lap in this under-20 women's race to separate herself from her teammate Lenka Nikolic. Sometimes if you're feeling stronger, if you're trying to pull away from another athlete, the uphill section is just what you need to put your foot down. But Mladenovic takes that right-hand hairpin into the long finishing straight here as well. A lot can change in that finishing straight if you've got a bunch together. You've still got round about 200 meters or so perhaps of that finishing straight, so that's one to watch if athletes are getting their tactics right with the sprint finish.
Za tačno 15 minuta, od 12 časova i 10 minuta vidjet ćemo ovdje ponovo Meru Mehmedović, Lenko Nikolić i Janu Rajić, 3 najbrže u juniorskoj konkurenciji. A start juniora bit će u 12 časova i 5 minuta, dakle vrlo brzo za nekih 10 minuta. Bravo, čestimo i ovoj devojci, svaka čast. Una Mrđenović. I mislim da smo kompletirali sve učesnike, tako?
Una Mrdenović coming through for 11th place.
Da su one koje su pretrčale celu stazu, da više nikog nema na stazi od devojaka u juniorskoj konkurenciji. Malo muzički predah, pa ćemo da se pripremimo za one koje ćemo gledati u trci juniora. Biće jako interesantno.
So we've got a few more athletes to finish here in this junior women's race, the under-20 race that got underway just over half an hour ago. The next up on track is the junior men's race. That goes at 12:05 local time, so 9 minutes or so. The start and the finish line is the same place here in Belgrade. The athletes don't come through the start-finish line like you might expect on a loop cross-country course. They cut off this home straight up on the top of it. So we will take a slight pause here in commentary with the next race due up in 8 minutes now. We'll be back in around about 5 or 6 minutes to get you ready for the junior men's race here in Belgrade.
Okay, I get it. You have an incredible life online. Actually, I don't mind it. But are you sure all your
Evo informacija, dakle još jednom da ponovimo, 30. marta na ovom istom mestu. Naravno, bit će drugačija staza, s obzirom da je svetsko prvenstvo u krosu. Uživat ćemo u eliti, u velikim imenima. A znate da na svetskim prvenstvima u krosu su pobeđivali svetski rekorderi poput Pola Tergata, Beriho Aregavija, Johna Nagugija, Daniela Komena, Gebre Selasija, Kereniza Bekele, velika atletska imena. Vidjet ćemo već za 7, 8 do 10 dana u Beogradu. Biće to prilika da uživo vidite kako trče, kakve promjene prave u roku od 50-60 metara ti vrhunski elitni atletičari koji jednostavno su navikli na sve podloge, tako da i ako bude kiše, bit će više kiše, smetat će više onima koji će gledati nego onima koji će trčati, jer oni su spremni za sve uslove. A potom, kažem, 28. aprila beogradski Comtrade maraton. I tu, evo, imamo informacije, bit će blizu 12.000 učesnika. Biće to i prvenstvo Balkana i prvenstvo Srbije i elita. Očekuje se napad na rekorda, spuštanje tog rekorda ispod 2 časa i 10 minuta u muškoj konkurenciji, ispod 2.29 u ženskoj. Biće to zaista uživanje u našem glavnom gradu, ne samo sportski, nego u svim aspektima, i kulturni, kažem, i humani, i zaista priredba koja je toliko masovna i koja privlači sve ljude i rekreativce. Jednostavno, osjeća se posebno zadovoljstvo kada ste deo te manifestacije. A mi se polako spremamo za trku juniora. Evo, juniorke su nas upoznale sa trasom, ta 4 kruga koje će trčati i juniori. Vidjeli smo kako su sve 3 lepo finiširale, 3 najbolje. I Mejra Mehmedović, i Lenka Nikolić i Jana Rajić. Prve 2 atletičarke iz Novog Pazara. Treći plasirana Jana Rajić iz Crvene Zvezde. Za manje od 5 minuta start juniora koji stižu. Evo ih. Dakle, evo ko nastupa. Viktor Đuričić, momak koji je bio 11. na prvenstvu Srbije prošle godine u pionirskoj konkurenciji Triumph Kids. Pa onda broj 67 Lazar Stojilović, Dragutin Tomašević, Petrova Samlavi, drugi na belom krosu prošle godine u kategoriji juniora. Pa onda broj 70 seniorski šampion Srbije u dvorani Alvin Hunter Ćatović, Novi Pazar. Prošle godine bio 3. na belom krosu u seniorskoj konkurenciji. Onda broj 65, član Hajduk tim maratona Kula, šampion Srbije za pionire prošle godine, sjajni Sergij Kostić. Potom broj 72 iz Top Jumpa, Milan Marković, 3. na prvenstvu države za mlađe juniore prošle godine u krosu. Pa potom
Good afternoon, welcome to coverage of the White Cross cross-country meeting in Belgrade. This is the junior men's field just getting themselves limbered up, doing a few strides. We've already had a junior women's race that was taken by Mejra Mehmedović over her Novi Pazar teammate Lenka Nikolić, and Jana Rajić took 3rd place. They've just completed their 4 laps here of this course. It'll be 4 laps again for the under-20 men to give them 6.4 kilometres. I'd expect a good battle between Sven Franjakovic and Zabir Ziljakic. The Croatian and the Serb have met already in this indoor season at the triple match between Serbia, Croatia and Slovenia. The Serbian Ziljakic getting the better of the Croatian that time. So let's see if they can go head-to-head here again today in Belgrade. Might be an exciting race for them.
I 66, član Zaječarske mladosti, šampion Srbije i to seniorski na 5000 metara, Veljko Vasiljević. Biće to izuzetno uzbudljivo.
Also got Aldin Šatović in here, a Serbian. He's just 16 years old. He's the under-20 indoor national champion over 800 and 1500 ahead of Ziljakic. So I don't expect these athletes to let anybody get away. I think we could see quite a battle in the first 2 laps of this 4-lap course, and perhaps then they'll start to spread out ever so slightly. We've also got Uroš Masic of Serbia, 17-year-old Balkan indoor junior bronze medalist over 800 metres. He wears 76. There he is. Just behind number 64 there. Momčilo Simic. 6.4 kilometres for these junior men. That's about what they're used to racing. That's what you'd race at European Cross Country Championships. But the junior women that we had just now previously, 6.4 kilometres, might be a couple of kilometres further than they're used to racing. Look at the European Cross Country Championships that took place in Brussels just before Christmas. That's more like 4 kilometres, 4.4, maybe 4.5 for the junior women. So they stretched themselves a bit in that junior women's race earlier on. But these men should be very used to 6.4 kilometres. They're going to punt a guess at around about 20-22 minutes for these athletes on over that sort of distance. And this course, we've mentioned, it is heavy underfoot, but it is dry. Quite rightly, the officials just checking everybody is behind the tape. Just a reminder, this is a rehearsal for the World Athletics Cross Country Championships that take place here in 2 weeks. So the officials will be very, very strict on every aspect of this cross country race. Eager to have a really good dress rehearsal for those World Athletics Cross Country Championships. This event normally takes place in January. It was postponed by 3 months or so to give the officials and the organisers a chance to test out this course ahead of the World Championships. Also this year, it's under new management. It's been taken on by the Belgrade marathon team in a bid to make the events here in Belgrade streamlined and also prepare people for that World Championships. Aggressive start from a couple of athletes here. Aldin Shetovic in the green vest, same as the winner of the junior women's race, Novi Pazar, the running club, with that green vest. From 64 there in second place, Momcilo Simic at the moment. And apologies, it's 66, Vasiljevic. Zilkic doing his best to close the gap there. I think he's in third place at the moment. So a very fast start from Shetovic. Simic in the blue vest in second place at the moment, perhaps just holding back some of the other athletes. Aldin Shetovic, really good credentials over 800, 1500 and 3000 metres. So he is the one to beat today, but I'm sure the other athletes will want to try and hold on to him for as long as possible. Shetovic at the moment having this all his own way. His other athletes behind perhaps missed the break here ever so slightly at the start of this event. 4 laps they've got to go through. Just wiggling their way up to the far side of the course. Good sign language there from a coach on the side saying hurry up, come this way. I think that's a coach for one of these athletes further back saying close that gap, get back on terms of Shetovic as he's going to be gone. Aldin Shetovic in the driving seat at the moment. Shetovic just running alongside this tarmac path here, the River Danube, just over to his right hand side, I think. I hope I've got my orientation right here. As with so many cross country courses, just looping round and round. Great spectator course here though, plenty of opportunities for fans to get themselves right up close to the athletes. That'll be wonderful as we look towards those World Championships in 2 weeks. Shetovic, one of the youngest in the field, he's just 16 years old, he's still under 18. And he's romping away here in the first lap. Takes a nice gentle left-hand turn here into the furthest part of the course. Aldin Shetovic, really aggressive, strong running here in the first lap.
na svakom takmičenju, a sada Sergej Kostić se probija na drugu poziciju, još jedan, kažem, veliki talenat, rođen 2008. tek u prvoj sezoni mlađih juniora. Ovog trenutka Čatović završava prvi krug.
Šatović nearing the end of his first of 4 laps here. It's the point where the officials will tell him to keep heading out. That's the top of the start-finish straight there. So 1 lap down for Čatović. Massive lead at the moment. Everybody else is just trying to get back on terms with him. They are going for it though. This runner here in the black vest, I think could be Sergej Kostić, under 18. He's working hard to try and close this gap up. Let's have a look at the number. 65 would be Sergej Kostić, the under 18 athlete. Real surge there, trying to take the other athletes back towards Aldin Čatović. You can see the local announcer, you can hear the local announcer going mad here for Kostić. Aggressive, positive running from the other under 18. He's looked up the field and looked at Aldin Čatović and gone, if you can do this, I can do it too. Number 65, Kostić there in the black vest. Just caught a glimpse of him as we wiggle around these corners. Zilkic is another athlete I was expecting to see up with Čatović. Zilkic has picked up a few medals on the national stage behind our leader at the moment. So it's still Simic, the under 20 from Serbia, in 3rd place at the moment. That's Filip Zonic. Ooh, look at the cadence here of Sergej Kostić. He looks over his shoulder, trying to gauge his effort correctly here. But for me, Kostić looks like he's moving faster than Čatović. Čatović pace is ever so slightly wrong. Really early stages here, though, in this under 20 men's race. They're just in their 2nd of 4 laps. Čatović will get feedback from the coaching team on the sidelines. But I think maybe another couple of hairpins, another couple of loops, and we could see Čatović, the long-time leader, being caught by Sergej Kostić. Nervous look over the shoulder of Aldin Čatović. I know that Kostić is catching. And Simic as well, a lonely race in 3rd place. So you can see just getting towards the left-hand side of the screen, that is Sergej Kostić. Momčilo Simic is in 3rd place, the tall athlete in the blue vest. I think the course is ever so slightly downhill as we head this way. And Sergej Kostić is using all of that downhill, perhaps to close in on Aldin Čatović. As we take a pause for the presentation of the under 20 women's race. Jana Rejic took 3rd place. Second place went to Lenka Nikolic from Novi Pazar. Mekmedovic pulled away from her teammate with a really, really strong last lap. And that was enough to give her the victory here in the under 20 women's race. And you can still get 3, as we move up through the age groups, you can still get 3 athletes on the top step of the podium. Now, is Aldin Čatović where we left him? Is he still in the lead? He keeps looking over his shoulder here. I think he's just coming towards the end of the 2nd lap. gap he'd opened up on the field in the first lap was severely reduced towards the end of that first lap and through this second lap, but Aldin Šatović is still in the lead at the moment. Kostic doing everything he can to catch this man, so they're heading just over the top of the start-finish straight here, so that is halfway in the junior men's race. Around about 2 miles so far, 3.2 kilometres or so. And Aldin Šatović, I think he might have had a bit of a tip off from someone in the crowd to say you have to keep pushing here, you've got to keep the momentum going, because another under 18 athlete, Serhej Kostic, is trying to chase down the 16-year-old Šatović. Oh, there he is. The black vest number 65 stalking the green vest number 70. Šatović, we kind of see if we get a time on this. I'd say you've got around about 9 seconds or so there, just counting it to the naked eye. Šatović ahead of Kostic. That's a decent lead. But Aldin Šatović just looking over his shoulder every time. There's so many corners here in Belgrade. And it seems like Šatović is using almost every corner to nervously look over his shoulder, perhaps trying to save something for the final lap. If he can maintain a gap of 5-8 seconds or so ahead of Serhej Kostic. And then perhaps if Šatović can have a strong last lap. But you've got to mentally win the battle here. So we have a quick look at number 68. Frankovic of Croatia. Thought perhaps it was Momcilo Simic in third place, but we'll try and keep an eye on the rest of the field and get a confirmation on that. As we turn our attention back to these top two, I think you've got to win the mental battle as well, and Aldin Šatović has got to keep that gap big enough that Serhej Kostic doesn't start to believe that he can catch him. That's the battle here. Keeping almost a soul-destroying gap there to prevent Kostic from really believing he can get there, and hopefully I can just maintain that gap into the last lap. Milan Markovic, 20 from Serbia, giving a nice wave to the crowd there, I think. Had a drop out there from one of the athletes. That might have been Zonic. Yeah, Filip Zonic perhaps just lying by the side of the track there. Had enough for today. It is quite warm here in Belgrade, around about 16-17 degrees Celsius. Just quite nice conditions for running cross country, but perhaps too much for Filip Zonic. Penultimate lap here for the long-time leader, Aldin Šatović. Over on the far side of the course. On the outer loop, on the outer circuit here, they go all the way in a horseshoe around the outside of the field, and the longest section it's been the rest of the course wiggling around on the inside. It's almost like the bottom of a duck's foot, the course map. If you have a look at it, you might agree with me. 3 hairpins pushing out, and that's if you ignore the start-finish straight. Don't worry, it's pretty confusing. I'll try and keep you abreast of it. This is the far side of the course. Šatović has done most of the running here in this third lap. Šatović, for me, looks better than he did in the second lap. I think his first lap was good. Clearly had a lot of adrenaline, starting the race, wanted to start with good intent and ask questions of everyone else. And then Šatović looked a bit vulnerable in the second lap. We saw Serhej Kostic closing up that gap on him, lowering it below 10 seconds or so. But I think Šatović has got into his running here again in the third lap. Šatović, he's only 16 years old, but he's full of experience double gold medal at the Serbian Under-20 Indoor Championships over 800 and 1500 metres, competing against athletes a lot older than him. Stojolovic of Serbia, making his way around his 4 laps as well. So Aldin Shatovic here, 3 laps down, 1 to go. He's doing a fantastic job of keeping that gap ahead of Sergej Kostic. So if you haven't heard of Aldin Shatovic before today, keep an eye on this young man. He is the national under-18 record holder over 800 and 1500, 153 and 353. Serbia, of course, have got the wonderful Elzan Bibic, who holds the senior records, everything from 800 to 5000. Bibic will go in the senior men's race at 150 local time. But this man, Aldin Shatovic, is rewriting those record books for Serbia in the under-18 category. Vasiljevic, perhaps the athlete in 3rd place at the moment. So Shatovic just doing this hairpin here as he turns all the way around to his right. And he'll go down this straight here, and then he'll swing a hairpin to the left to go all the way around the outside of the field. For the final time here, Aldin Shatovic, unless there's an inspired sprint finish from Sergej Kostic, I do think that Aldin Shatovic could be about to triumph with a gun-to-tape victory. Number 69, Kabir Zilkic, running well here in the green vest of Novi Pazar. We saw that being run so well by the women earlier on in the junior race. Now let's have a look back. What does the gap look like between Shatovic and Kostic? Shatovic looking laboured again. Perhaps this is just a slight uphill section. I mentioned they're going back towards the memorial, the Eternal Flame Memorial there. It seems to be a bit of a drag uphill. That is the start-finish straight that awaits the athletes in a few moments' time. Just coming up on 18 minutes of running here. It's around about 2 or 3 minutes for the leaders, perhaps. Kabir Zilkic has run wonderful personal best this indoor season, over 800 and 1500 and 3K. Perhaps 6.4K, a little bit too far for him though today. So he has had the better of some of these athletes on the track, but not Shatovic, the national under-20 indoor champion. Converting that indoor form into cross-country form really well. There's another look at Milan Markovic. Try and figure out where he is on the course. Just embarking on his final lap, I think, Markovic. So Aldin Katovic. Working around the far side of the course here. And Serbia have committed to sending more athletes than ever to the World Athletics Cross Country Championships. It will be here in 2 weeks. There is going to be a mixed relay. Elzan Bibic will go in that, but I wonder if we could see the likes of Aldin Shatovic in the open, in the junior race, running against the very best in the world. Now look at Filip Zonjic. Okay, so Filip Zonjic wasn't the athlete that had had enough and that was lying down on the side, because he's still here racing. So my apologies to Filip Zonjic. So Aldin Shatovic will run down this straight here and just take the final right-hand hairpin. Down the start-finish straight, you see the tape has been moved. The officials paying very close attention to who gets to finish now and who has one more lap to go. But a commanding win in the end for Aldin Shatovic. Aldin Shatovic is almost gesturing to say, I didn't think it would be that easy. And he has managed to take the win here in the white cross-country event, the junior men's category. Cutting the tape, I say 20:48 or so for Shatovic. Sergej Kostic coming through for second place. Chased hard, did everything he could to close down that gap. And third place, Veliko Vasiljevic, the 5,000 metre national champion for the senior category. He's only 17 years old. He actually won the 3K at the under-20 indoor championships. So Vasiljevic, no surprises there. An athlete of his calibre managing to come through here for third place. Looking out for the fourth place finisher now after that fantastic top three. Number 68, Sven Frankovic of Croatia is going to come home in fourth place. His sister came home around about fifth in the junior women's race. Frankovic is the Croatian indoor senior champion over many distances, turning into a brilliant track runner. 1:59, 3:59 and 8:37 is personal bests over 8:15 and 3K. And now we can say he's a fourth place finisher at the White Cross cross-country event. So fifth to Kalber Zilic. Might be a little bit disappointed with that. He's run new personal best of 3:53 and 8:28 this season. Track pedigree doesn't always transfer to cross country. It's really quite a specialist surface. Zilic might be more of a track runner. But a good, strong fifth place. Plenty of endurance effort gone in today for him that will, I'm sure, pay off when he goes back to the track. Number 72 here coming through for sixth place, Milan Markovic. So strong solo run for Milan Markovic to secure himself sixth place in the under-20 race. Filip Zonic here, wearing number 71. Just ready to take that welcome right-hand swing. That's the point they've gone past many a time and they've been sent out on another lap. It's super nice when it's your final time and you get directed towards the start-finish. So Zonic coming through for 7th place.
I Filip je 2008. godište, odlično, bravo Fićo. Filip Zonjić, prošle godine 6. na prvenstvu Srbije za pioniranje 2000 metara. Bravo.
Filip Zonic, the strong final straight there. This is the 57th edition of the White Cross cross-country meeting. Been going for a long time here in Belgrade. Belgrade, no stranger to high-quality athletics. They've hosted European Championships before, a whole host of Balkan Championships, and in 2 weeks' time they'll host the World Athletics Cross-Country Championships for the first time. And this is a look at the Friendship Park and the course and the surface that will be used for those World Athletics Cross-Country Championships. Just concluding the men's under-20 race here, Ivan Popovic coming through for 8th place. We've had a great junior women's race. The win went to Meda Mekmedovic ahead of Lenka Nikolic and Jana Rejic. Junior men's race here went to Aldin Chatovic, Sergej Kostic, and then Veliko Vasiljekic was 3rd. The senior women's race gets underway at 1:05 local time. That is in just over half an hour. So we will take a pause here in the commentary for around about half an hour, and we'll come back to introduce you to the senior women's race. Really strong interest in that, including Kenyan Valentine Jabet, runs sub 33 minutes for 10k and a 74-minute half marathoner. So we'd expect Valentine Jabet to be the woman to watch and the woman to beat in that senior women's race. Could have our first sprint finish of the day here between Viktor Duricic and the athlete in red there. It is going to be a win for Duricic, striding away here from Simic in the closing stages. Inspired finish from Duricic. So we hope you've enjoyed those 2 junior races. Perhaps you've got time to pop off, make yourself a cup of tea, have a bit of a snack, and get ready for that senior women's race that gets underway at 1:05 local time here in Belgrade. And remember that senior men's race at 1:50 local time. So see you in a short while.
Stiže, čini mi se, Lazar Stojlović. On će biti, koliko se ne varam, 11. Dragutin Tomašević, Atletski klub Petrovac Mlavi. Bravo iz momka Petra na Mlavi. Lazar Stojilović, dakle,
bre, ona pobeže, oni tankovi. I ova je ubijala na treningu. Za njega se to znači. Znati da može, evo smo dobro da može. Neću ti to što je ništa bre, kak je?
Vrlo brzo će imati proglašenje najboljih juniora. Dakle, da podsjetimo, Aldin Čatović, Novi Pazar, Sergej Kostić, Hajduk Tim Maraton Kula, Veljko Vasiljević, Spartak Subotica, molimo da dođu na proglašenje koje će biti vrlo brzo za nekoliko minuta. Legendarni Dane Korica uručit će najboljima nagrade. Gdje nam je Dane? Dane Korica stiže, evo, da li trčećim korakom, evo. Čovjek koji je obeležio duge pruge nekadašnje Jugoslavije. Dane, kakvi su utisci ovako na belom krosu? Nova pozicija, novo mesto, ali vrlo važno takmičenje s obzirom da će ovdje biti svjetski šampionat za 2 nedelje.
Da, Rale, to je staza gdje će biti prvenstvo sveta i mislim da se dobro priprema Srbija za taj veliki događaj, najveći na svetu. Tako da je ova proba danas verovatno, ja mislim da je uspjela i da su još neke sitnice potrebne da se dođe do kraja. I veliki broj naših takmičara koji su već prošli ove distance, mislim da su zadovoljni samom stazom. Ja, bit će još nekih izmjena i dopuna sigurno za svetsko prvenstvo, ali važno da je dobra pozicija, da se sve vidi, da je pregledna staza i da je samo ako Bog da bude i dobro vreme, konačno, da ne bude velikih nevremena, ko zna šta može biti. I da naši takmičari se bore za medalje.
To je bilo jako lepo.
Biće jako teško. Biće jako teško i možda u mlađim kategorijama nešto će biti bolje, verovatno, ali bit će teško doći do medalje ovde. Ipak je to svetsko prvenstvo.
Hvala Dane puno, evo vrlo brzo ćemo na proglašenje. Stigao je ovde sada i Veljko Vasiljević, novi učenik Zvezdana Kalmara, Spartak Subotica, izvinjamo se, prošlo nekada je Mladost Zaječar, novi klub. Bravo Veljko, dobra trka zaista. Ko nam fali, tu je i Aldin Ćatović, Sergej Kostić, njega očekujemo. Ajde čujemo barem ova dva momka. Aldine, tvoji utisci, kako ti deluje staza, koje su tvoje impresije?
Trka fenomenalna, staza odlična za cross sveta, za koji je za 2 nedelje. Trčat ću ovde 8 km za juniore, nadam se za 100 voli plasman.
Bravo, da čujemo i Veljka. Veljko, danas treći, tvoji utisci, kako ti se delova danas ovde, 57. bili cross?
Pa moj prvi beli cross, izuzetno težak, staza jako teška, ali sve u svemu sam zadovoljan.
Bravo, evo stiže i Sergej, da ga čujemo kratko, pa ćemo otići na proglašenje. Sergej, danas drugo mesto na odlična trka, daleko si najmlađoj konkurenciji, tvoje impresije?
Pa, bila je trka lepa, staza je bila jako teška zato što je bilo puno krivina, ali bilo lepo.
Bravo, izvolite. Vidimo da je spremno, vrlo brzo će krenuti farfore. Fanfare za najbolje juniore na 57. belom krosu. Gde nam je Dane Korica? Dakle, treće mesto na 57. belom krosu u trci juniora Veljko Vasiljević, Spartak Subotica. Drugo mesto, Sergej Kostić, Hajduk Team Maraton Kula. I šampion 57. belog krosa u juniorskoj konkurenciji Aldin Ćatović, Novi Pazar.
brzo dođe. Ja znam da mora i da prođe, jer ti i ja, dva smo sveta različita. Jer ti i ja, ko to zna, ko to zna.
prava muzička uvertira za trku senjorki koja će krenuti za 7-8 minuta. Trka senjorki na 8 km ili ti 5 krugova. Biće izuzetno lepa, u to ne sumnjamo, zanimljiva. Pet krugova, kao što će i senjori trčati tu distancu. Inače, kada govorimo o belom krosu i tim trkama senjorki, mora se reći da je apsolutna rekorderka i to je rezultat koji je zaista onako deluje, barem iz ove perspektive nedostižan po broju triumfa, legendarna Amela Terzić koja je čak 10 puta pobedila na belom krosu. Uz to ako dodamo i 2 titule šampionke u juniorskoj konkurenciji, dakle 12 triumfa, s tim što je Amela počela da pobeđuje u seniorskoj konkurenciji sa nepunih 18 godina, što je kao najbolja juniorka bila sa 15-16 godina. Zaista neke činjenice koje kada se pogledaju shvati se kako je trčala Amela Terzić. Pre nje također ima 10 triumfa, 7 u seniorskoj konkurenciji. Velikanka Olivera Jeftića koja je vladala belim krosom od 1994. do 2000. godine. 6 pobjeda ima sjajna Radisavka Rada Račića koja je, i to treba se istaći, imala 13 godina razlike od svog prvog do posljednjeg triumfa. Dakle, Rada Račić sa 6 pobjeda plus jednom tom. Također je imala jedan period kada je bila nepobediva tada na padinama Košutnjaka. Ovdje će biti jako interesantno s obzirom da imamo atletičarke iz Crne Gore, Slovenije, Rumunije, Kenije i Srbije. Biće to zaista jedna dobra trka u kojoj ćemo posebno sa, da kažem, velikom pažnjom pratiti nastupe naših devojaka koje će se truditi sigurno da se nametnu selekciju.
Welcome to the European athletics coverage of the 57th edition of the White Cross cross-country race here in Belgrade, Serbia. This event usually takes place in January. It's a very well-established cross-country fixture in the Serbian calendar, but this year it's been postponed a few months to take place here in the middle of March as the test event for the World Athletics Cross-Country Championships that take place in 2 weeks' time. Here is a look at the start list for the senior women's race. We've already had 2 wonderful junior races. Junior women's went to Mera Mekmedovic, ahead of her Novi Pazar teammate Lenka Nikolic, and then Jana Rajic took 3rd in that race. And then the junior men's, it was a gun-to-tape win for Alden Chatovic, ahead of Sergej Kostic, and Veliko Vasiljecic took 3rd. This is the senior women's race just getting underway. They're going to run 8 kilometres, which is 5 laps of the course here in Belgrade. We're in the Friendship Park, right on the banks of the Danube River in the heart of Belgrade. And this site, this park, this Friendship Park, actually hosted the European Cross-Country Championships back in 2013. So they have seen international level athletics here before. This White Cross event has been awarded a World Athletics Bronze Cross-Country Tour status this year. And they've paired up with the Belgrade Marathon organisation to further promote this race and establish it among the European circuit, and in the hope to attract more international competitors to this cross-country race. And they've achieved that here today. And a couple of really good Kenyans down there, Valentine Jabet and Phyllis Kipkerio. Those two just sharing a chat now. I'm sure they'll be quite as friendly when the gun goes off. The 2 athletes from Kenya, very closely matched. Both run 74 minutes for a half marathon. Jabet's done 32:51 for 10k. Really good time, and that'll be very transferable here over the 8K cross-country distance. So very often at a cross-country race, it's a bit of a free-for-all. You can put yourself where you want on that start line. You might look down the course and say, I want to be on the right-hand side because we're going to take a right-hand turn. Or the opposite, you might want to give yourself a bit more space. But here today at the White Cross, because they are preparing for the World Athletics Championships, they're going to line people up in bib order, like you would in a track race. The official's just going to explain that to the competitors, I think. Two Kenyan athletes choosing to stand over to the right-hand side of the start line. They will take a right-hand turn. That's their first turn, so perhaps they want a shorter racing line. The athlete out of order here, Felice Kipkirio, right at the far right-hand side. Hand raised there from Clara Luby, three-time national champion from Slovenia. There in her Slovenian national vest, made the trip over to compete against a pair of very good Kenyans and best of Serbian cross-country talent here as well. So we saw the two junior races do 4 laps of this circuit. It will be 5 for these women as they jostle for the best racing line early on here on the start-finish straight. They come down this start straight and then they'll take a right-hand turn, do 5 laps, and then they get turned back onto the finish straight. Cagey running here in the early stages. It looks like nobody quite wants to take the lead. There's good prize money here available at the White Cross cross-country fixture. €5,000 prize pot for each race. Valentine Jabet at the moment content just to sit at the front of this pack, but she's not really pushing the pace at all. And Milika Tomasevic, the under-23 athlete from Serbia, in the red t-shirt there with the white stripes. She's just put herself in second place. Christina Balan of Romania in the black strip, just to the right-hand side of the pack there. Just keeping a close eye on what everybody's doing inside. So 90 is Felice Kipkirio of Kenya. Balin of Romania sitting in 5th place at the moment. Tomasevic, number 83, keeping herself involved. And the green vest just hiding behind 86. Sima Muric is an under-20 athlete. She could have gone and competed in the previous race, but she's decided to test herself here against the senior athletes. She's just 17 years old. The woman there with 86 on her back. We saw her Novi Pazar teammates take first and second in the junior women's race. And if Sima Muric trains with those two and knows that perhaps she wouldn't have got a test today if she'd gone in that junior women's race, and she wants to come and see how she can rack up against the senior athletes. This group of 5 just starting to separate themselves at the moment. Kipkirio pushing the pace ever so slightly. So Muric has really got to keep herself involved here. That very, very steady pace through the first half lap here of 5 laps. But it looks perhaps like Kip Carrillo and Chibet are getting running properly here. So I mentioned this in some of the previous races. This course, when you look on the surface, it doesn't look too hard. It's not very muddy. It's pretty nice conditions here in Belgrade. But when we get these zoomed in images, you can tell that it's pretty heavy underfoot. And that can be quite energy sapping. You won't get much return off this ground as tussocky grass. And I think there's a deceptive uphill. I think as they swing through this left-hand turn here, they will start to head downhill a little bit. They're right on the outside of the course now. They do a big horseshoe all the way around the outside. Here's Kip Carrillo from Chibet at the moment, and 3 other athletes trying to stay in contention: Tomasevic, Muric and Balan.
Bila je dominantnija, ali čini mi se da se ta razlika značajno smanjila, iako možda uopšte postoji. Vidjet ćemo kako će se sada to kotirati. Sve Kenijke idu napred. Ne treba naše toliko da forsiraju, to je žestok ritam. S obzirom da su devojke iz Kenije one koje trče.
So Felice Kip Carrillo, the athlete pushing the pace at the moment in the black vest. And Valentine Jabet, she doesn't look troubled as such, but that is a gap. She's not running with the other Kenyan athlete.
Na putu drži legendarna Olivera Jevtić 32 minuta 4 sekunde, Anastazi 31, 29, 65 i polako samo jednostavno ne dozvoliti da mnogo odmaknu, ali biti tu. Jako je sada ta prednost Kenike od nekih 10-12 metara.
Kip Carrillo does a lot of her racing and training in Europe. We've seen her do lots of half marathons in this part of the world. And she had done 74 minutes a couple of times, and the endurance required to run 74 minutes for a half marathon is significant. And you do think that would lend itself really well to cross country. So the pace piled on here by Felice Kip Carrillo has left a group of 3 behind, has left everybody apart from Valentine Jabet really struggling here to go with it. So around about 6 minutes on the clock, and these 2 are coming up to conclude their first lap. And with 5 laps to go, that tells us that they could be out here for around about 30 minutes. So these athletes have got to get their pacing right. One lap down, 4 to go for the senior women here at the White Cross Cross Country event. Valentine Jabet, the athlete, in second place at the moment. She's got to concentrate a lot. The athlete with 77 on her back in the blue vest. Doesn't take much of a lapse in concentration to allow a gap to open up. And if she can't stay with Kip Carrillo, she can find herself really isolated. So white vest on the front, blue vest on the back. That is Jabet, and her task is to stay with Kip Carrillo. And the pack of 3 behind, led at the moment by Kristina Balan of Romania.
Već tu je nagovestila da ova sezona može za nju biti jako dobra. Ona će prošle godine, odnosno sljedeće godine, imati pravu priliku na Evropskom prvenstvu za mlade senjorke. Ide napred sada Sajma Murić. Svesna da mora da malo smanji prednost Keniki.
It's Alexandra Kostadinovic, a national champion over 5,000 from a few years ago for Serbia.
Je sada neka 3 metra iza Sajme Murića, koja nakon tog onoga prihvata izazov i kreće u poteru za Kenikama.
It's a good move here from Jabet. She's closed that gap down ever so slightly, perhaps on one of the downhill sections. I think it's ever so slightly downhill as they head that direction, and now as they swing right up through one of these inner hairpins on the inside of the horseshoe. I think it's a slight incline here. And it's at this point, it's when we're running uphill, that Kip Carrillo seems to be able to pull away from the other Kenyan athlete ever so slightly. Paunovic of Serbia was 8th here in the national cross-country event in October. Kip Carrillo, she's not looking around at all. We saw Aldin Chatovic win the junior men's race, but he went tearing off in the first lap and then looked at pretty much every corner. He looked tired, he looked vulnerable, but he did hold on very well for a win. But no looks back from Kip Carrillo so far. Despotovic of Serbia as well, just been given her camera time there. These athletes are spread out across this loop. So here we are downhill again, and for me, Valentine Jabet, this is where she manages to close up the gap on Kip Carrillo. But Jabet, halfway through the second lap of 5, I think if she's really got any hopes of taking the win here, she's got to be right up on the shoulder of Kip Carrillo. Milanovic and Gladic, two athletes here. They've just completed their first lap, making their way through the hairpins before they take the horseshoe around the outside. In the background, you can see Kip Carrillo and Jabet. So Kip Carrillo sweeping round here. She'll take a left-hand hairpin back up to those officials in pink that we've just seen. And that will conclude her second of 5 laps. See the senior men just getting warmed up behind. Senior men's race is at 1:50 local time. So just over half an hour till we'll see whether Elzem Bibic can take a home victory. He'll face some stiff competition in that race. And a few strong Kenyans going up against Elzem Bibic in that senior men's race. Hilary Kameo, Bernard Koros and Albert Tanui. And the Kenyans going well here in the senior women's race as well. Felice Kip Carrillo, long-time leader, just coming up to finish her second lap. Count with a naked eye from Kip Carrillo back to Jabet. It's around about 4 seconds. So it's not a race-winning margin by any stretch of the imagination yet. Valentine Jabet, though, she hasn't challenged the lead of Kip Carrillo. She hasn't got involved. And you're talking endurance running or in cross-country about there being an elastic band between two runners. And the runner at the front trying to stretch that elastic band until it snaps. So often breaks the resolve of the athlete in second place as well. If they don't believe that they can live with the athlete in front of them, they will just start to slip further and further back. Valentine Jabet looks determined. I think Jabet isn't enjoying the uphill sections as much as Kip Carrillo. That's my interpretation. There are the athletes in second and third. Simon Muric going super well there in second place. The youngster company from Tomasevic. So Simon Muric trying to break away from Milika Tomasevic as they battle it out for the final place on the podium.
Murić i Milica Tomašević prošle godine su trčale na juniorskom prvenstvu Evrope i bio je za to njih super izazov. Milica mora malo da popravi sada rad ruku, vrlo važno. Dolazi jedan težak period, ali prevladaće ga sasvim sigurno.
So Felice Kipkerio maintaining that lead. Is it up to 5 seconds, 6 seconds or so ahead of Valentine Jabet? They take the right hand hairpin here, then they'll go left hand all the way around the outside of the park. As the athletes filter through on these inner circuits. Alexandra Kostandinovic, the Serbian 5K champ, sticking to her task well. I think that Felice Kipkerio is starting to open up another few seconds over Valentine Jabet here. To me, that gap has gone from 4 seconds to 5 or 6. You have to see a really good section here from Valentine Jabet around the outside of the park. She's going to try and stay on terms with the other Kenyan athlete. Just a reminder, this is a practice of this course for the officials, for the organisers, as they look towards the World Athletics Cross Country Championships that take place here in 2 weeks' time. We are just using one field here for the White Cross Cross Country event. The course map that's been released for the World Athletics Championships does take in another field, which I think we'll see over towards the left-hand side of the course where the athletes are running now. They're just running alongside the Danube River now. They'll then take a slight left-hand turn and we'll see the next field. The athletes for the World Cross will go and pitch out into that as well, I believe. If that's what how I interpret the course map and all the information that's online so far for today and for the World Athletics Championships. Felice Kipkerio putting on a wonderful exhibition of cross-country running here. She might start to approach lapped runners at the moment. She's past halfway through in the race. The athletes further down the field, Ivana Shubatlia running alongside the Slovenian athlete Clara Luby. These two, I think, are around about in the top 6, top 7 or so. Belgrade as a city, very, very used to hosting fantastic athletics events. They hosted the European Cross Country here in the Friendship Park in 2013, European Indoors back in 2017, and the World Indoor Championships in 2022. So they have hosted the Global Championships before, and they will host another one in 2 weeks' time. There goes lap 3 completed for our long-time leader, Felice Kipkerio. Valentine Jabet struggled on every uphill section here. Jabet is losing ground every time that Kipkerio headed this way on the course. You can see Jabet there just gripping her side, indicating perhaps she's got a stitch. Novi Pazar teammate waiting, eagerly waiting to see if Saima Murić, the 17-year-old, can hold on to third place here in the senior women's race. The penultimate lap for Kipkerio. Kenyan athletes will have grown up running cross country in Kenya. Simon Muric, is she clear in third place? She was having a tussle with Melika Tomasevich in a red vest. Tomasevich nowhere to be seen in that shot. That'd be an inspired run from the 17-year-old if she's pushed herself into third place. Kipkerooi, you can tell by the way she took that corner, the previous corner we saw around the hairpin, lifting her arm for the tape. She knows what she's doing. 83 Melika Tomasevich, I think, is down in fourth place now, still moving really well. This is the penultimate circuit for these athletes, the fourth lap, and the youngster Simon Muric looks like she's put a real effort in around about halfway. But Muric at 17 years old, she won't have the running in her legs that Melika Tomasevich, the older athlete, does. So that third and fourth very much still up for contention as those athletes go through these final two laps. Sonia Despotovic, Vet 35 athlete, might be the first of our athletes to be lapped here. That could be the next target for Felice Kipkerooi. Cristina Balan of Romania in fifth place at the moment. We look at those gaps that have opened up behind. It does look like Muric has a strong lead ahead of Tomasevich in third place. Felice Kipkerooi is almost looking stronger with every lap that goes by here. Kipkerooi out on the horseshoe section around the outside of the course. Jovana Shabatlia shaking her arms out here. She was third at the National Cross Country event here back in October, so knows her way around this park. She at the moment has the better of the Slovenian Klara Ljubi behind her. So Felice Kipkerooi for the penultimate time all the way around the outside of the course. So over 20 minutes now for Kipkerooi. And one more lap to go. Not a single look back from Kipkerooi yet. That's what your coaches always tell you. Don't look behind, don't doubt. Just stick to your task and forge forward. And the Kenyan athlete Felice Kipkerooi waited around about half a lap. Let everybody sort themselves out. And then she put her foot down. And Valentine Jabet went with her for a little bit. Last time we saw Jabet in the background of a shot of Kipkerooi, she was clutching her side, possibly suffering from a stitch. Jabet surely has got a massive margin over Simon Muric, a 17-year-old local athlete who's in third place at the moment. Keep an eye as the camera stays with the leader Kipkerooi. We'll see what's going on behind. Like a big gap between Muric and Jabet, so that could be second and third sorted out. But here comes Felice Kipkerooi. If there was a bell here in Belgrade, they'd be about to sound it for her, because she is setting out on her fifth and final lap here round the Friendship Park. Lovely to see Paunovic take the time there to applaud the race leader. And Jelena Paunovic using all her experience there, running wide to give the space to the race leader. So push here from Jovana Shabatlia. Separate herself. I think she's around about 5th or 6th place, possibly. Here we go. first look for a while at Valentine Jabet. The athlete is still in second place, but she does look pretty tired. She's working hard to hold on to that second place. Green tracksuits of the Novi Pazar Track Club have already taken a win in the junior women's and the junior men's. And they could be about to pick up third here in the senior women's race. The local announcer getting very, very excited for Saima Muric. There she goes. She has one lap left to hold on to third place, but is there perhaps a hope here from the local announcer that Muric could possibly reel in second place? She's moving so well here. This 17-year-old has paced her effort really well. There's Felice Kipcarrillo back into the middle of the course. She'll then swing round to her right and then head out on that horseshoe all the way around the outside. Sanja Despotovic, I think, is about to potentially get lapped by Malika Tomasevic. I think Saima Muric and Valentine Jabet have already gone past Despotovic. Just approaching 25 minutes of running here in Belgrade. 8 kilometres the distance for these senior women. Felice Kipcarrillo, every time we've been on this section of the course, the slight uphill, she's looked better and better, really strong, pumping those arms, lifting the knees. Kipcarrillo swings round to her right. Takes the left hand hairpin turn. Valentine Jabet looked exhausted around about a lap and a half ago. The second Kenyan athlete is doing really well to hold on to the second spot on the podium. So Felice Kipcarrillo still out in the lead here in the senior women's race. Mentioned there's decent prize money up for grabs here at the White Cross event, and that looks to be leaving Friendship Park here with Felice Kipcarrillo.
Vrlo blizu, još manje od 600 metara do kraja za nju. Čebe druga, dakle to je poredak koji traje praktično od polovine prvog kruga, dakle punih 7,5 kilometara.
So Kipcarrillo checking her watch, she'll see 27 minutes. She might see around about 7.5k, I reckon. Not too much further for the Kenyan athlete to hold on here for the win. Kipcarrillo just coming around to complete her 5th and final lap. And there is Valentine Jabet, has held on really well for second place. And we expect to see the youngster Saima Muric through on the far side of the course next. So this time, Felice Kipkerio will be directed down the start-finish straight by the officials. There they are. They've pulled the tape to one side. She will look up and get to see the Eternal Flame Memorial at the end of this finish straight. It's €800 for the win here for Felice Kipkerio. Great day's work. So absolute masterclass of cross-country running from Felice Kipkerio. Let everybody sort themselves out in that first half a lap. Got herself warmed up and then has settled into a rhythm that nobody else could match here. Kipkerio is the winner of the senior women's race at the 57th edition of the White Cross cross-country race. Just under 29 minutes. Valentine Jabet held on really well for second place. Sub 33 minutes for 10k in her on her best. Probably just around about 30 minutes here for 8 kilometres, but on cross country on a bit of grass. And it is an inspired third place for Sima Muric of Serbia. She is just 17 years old. She could have gone in the junior women's race, but she came here to the senior race. She's picked up medals indoors and outdoors in the senior Serbian national championships, and now she's on the podium of an international cross-country race. 8 kilometres at 17. What a wonderful race for Muric. Makes it a fantastic day for her club, Novi Pazar. Winning the junior men's, the junior women's, and now that third place in the senior women's. Brave running for Milica Tomasevic. She will finish with 4th here. She tried to go with Sima Muric. There were 3 of them running together, Kristina Balin, Sima Muric and this woman, Milica Tomasevic. Tomasevic will come home just off the podium in 4th place. We have to see whether the Romanian Kristina Balin has done enough to hold on to 5th place. Lovely, strong finish here for Milica Tomasevic. And 4th place earns her a nice €300. For these athletes, €300 can go a long way, whether that's to a warm weather training camp, whether it's physio, whether it's a new pair of running shoes, all the things you need to be able to support you in all your training. This is Jelena Paunovic. I think is going out on her last lap. We're looking for our 5th place athlete, and I think it might have been Kristina Daniela Balin in the all black strip. The Romanian was running alongside Tomasevic and Muric. Here comes Balin for a well-earned 5th place and a well-earned €200. So Paunovic embarks on her final lap. Balin completes her final steps here at the White Cross Cross Country. Bronze medalist from the 2023 Francophone Games. And Balin is actually a 54-second 400-metre runner, so a bit of over-distance work for her. And here comes the athlete in 6th place, Alexandra Kostadinovic, 5,000-metre national champion from 2020. She picks up the last bit of prize money here in the senior women's race. It is 6 deep, 800 for the win, 600 for second, 500 for third, 3, 2 and €100 here for 6th place. and that will go home with Alexandra Kostadinovic. She stuck to her task really well, very isolated in this race. Every time we saw a shot of her, she was on her own, but she stuck to her task really well. Seventh place will go to Ivana Shabutlia.
Sedma pozicija, Jovana Šubotlija, Sremska Mitrovica, bravo. Osmo mjesto, Klara Ljubi, Slovenija.
And 8th place will go to the Slovenian athlete Klara Ljubi. Did much of her running with Jovana Shabutlia. Happened to give way to the Serbian, to the local athlete in the last lap or so. And Ljubi coming home in 8th. So just one race left here at the White Cross Cross Country event, and that is the senior men's race. That goes off in 10 minutes to see whether Elzan Bibic can keep the home crowd happy as he goes up against Hilary Kameo, Bernard Koros and Albert Tanui of Kenya. The last few athletes out doing their 5 laps of this course for 8 kilometres. It will be the same course for the senior men in around about 10 minutes, 5 of these big laps. So we will take a slight pause in our coverage here, and I will be back in around about 5 or 6 minutes or so to introduce the senior men's race.
Mislim da imamo još 2 senjorke na stazi. Vrlo brzo su jedna od druga, rekao bih, kraju. Ulaze u završnicu krosa. A ću već vidimo i senjore koji se zagrevaju za svoj nastup. dakle, vrlo brzo i 9. plasirane takmičarke u trci seniorki. Bravo, Zeleno Ponović, bravo. I evo devojke koja će biti 10. u trci seniorki. Nemamo više nikog na stazi, dakle. I spremamo se za onaj spektakl duel seniora na nešto jače, ili bolje rečeno nešto dužoj stazi od 8 km. Dakle, završava seniorsku trku Sanja Despotović, bravo. Vrlo brzo, evo, dolaze već seniori. Evo, ko trči 119 Filip Milanović, pa onda 105 Bernard Kikorir Kovaroš, svjetski prvak sa štafetom Kenije na krosu u Ugandi 2017. Pa onda 114 Nikola Baca, 98 Filip Stanković, 120 Uroš Nikolić, 106 Albert Kipkoroj Tonui, prošlogodišnji šampion Bela Krosa. Pa onda 107 Nikola Milović, 100 Miloš Rančić, Severna Makedonija, 118 Ivan Miškelin, 113 Sebastian Puš, Slovenija, 109 Rijad Šeipi, Severna Makedonija, 103 Darius Arhir, Rumunija, 97 Branislav Srdić, Srbija, 95 Maksim Puškar, pa onda zapamtite broj 104 ima Elzam Bibića, 122 Gabor Karšaj, Mađarska, 115 Filipe Beljković, 112 Jovan Denović, pa 99 Velimir Bojović, 108 Simon Banacad, 101 Nikola Rogarović, 93 najbolji.
So the athletes are out on the course ready for the senior men's race, the final race here at the 57th edition of the White Cross Cross Country race. We're here in Belgrade in the Friendship Park, the same venue that will host the World Athletics Championships in 2 weeks' time. This White Cross event being used as a test event for that Global Championships. This event normally takes place in January. It's been postponed by the organisers by a few months to be allowed to be used as this test event. It's also been taken over by the Belgrade Marathon. In its organisation, the Belgrade Marathon are behind delivering that World Athletics Cross-Country Championships as well. So Belgrade Marathon are using this to just feel their way into the cross-country scene. And they're very, very good at delivering road events. And I'm sure they'll be perfect here in delivering the cross-country event. They have been so far. We've seen some wonderful racing. We had some under-16 races. They went off before we came on air. And then a junior women's won by Mera Mekmedovic Medovic, and a junior men's won by Alden Chatovic, both of them from the Novi Pazar club. And then we saw a win in the senior women's race from Felice Kipkorio, a second from Valentin Jabet, and an inspired third place from the 17-year-old Sima Muric, also of the Novi Pazar club. So that club in the green vest having a wonderful day, and they've got a few more athletes down there in this race as well. But Serbian eyes will be on that man, Elzan Bibic, as he just hides behind the upright, wearing his Nike Pro kit in that blue vest. It's Albert Tanui of Kenya, 106. 107, Nikola Milovic. Athlete's just being called forward, put in the right place. Elzan Bibic, there he is. He's been told, come down here. You might hold every national record going in Midland long distance for Elzan Bibic. But he's still got to go in the right spot on the start line. Bibic said this race has come at the right time in his preparations. He had an indoor season. He's really focused on competing well for Serbia at the European Championships in Rome and ensuring he qualifies for the Paris Olympic Games in August. 105 there, Bernard Kodos of Kenya, one of the athletes to watch as well. The athletes just ensuring they're in the right place. I did mention how often when you go to a cross-country race, you can choose where you want to be on the start line. So the first thing, they're going to run down this straight and then they're going to take a right-hand turn. And some athletes, they might prefer to be all the way on the left-hand side, so they've got more space. They don't get stuck, pinned on the tape and perhaps pushed around, shoved around and overtaken. But other athletes kind of go, if I'm going to be turning right, why not start on the right and have the shorter line? So 105 Bernard Kodos is on the right hand side at the moment. The officials, I think, are just explaining the instructions will be to your mark and then an air horn.
Gentlemen, 5 laps to go. About 8 kilometers.
And they're away, no problems. You heard the stadium announcer say 5 laps, around 8 kilometres. That's what they've been promised here. They'll go down this straight and then start the first of 5 laps and then come back down this straight. Oh, we saw a cagey start in the women's race. They were all looking at each other. No one quite wanted to lead. Absolute opposite here. Bernard Kipkoros, I think the athlete, was it 106? It was Albert Tanui. Tanui is sprinting away with this race, making a really aggressive first straight here. I mean, Elzan Bibic has made the break. He's got a couple of other athletes with him. We've got another green Novi Pazar club vest up there as well. They've had a brilliant day so far. But this start from 106, Albert Kipkorio Tanui, has to be taken seriously by the other athletes. Tanui is a wonderful athlete in his own right. Good track personal best last summer with an 8:03 over 3k and a 13:50 over 5k. So he has got the credentials to win this race. So Bibic, Kodos and Kimeo all giving chase here. Kipkorio Tanui giving chase. So I've talked about how this course doesn't look that flat. It doesn't look this easy, but Albert Kipkorio Tanui just looks like he's gliding across it. His cadence, his speed. This is easily the fastest we've seen so far today. Hillary Kimayo in second place at the moment. 61 minutes over the half marathon for him. He's working with Elzan Bibic and with Bernard Kodos. Damage limitation here. There's Kipkorio Tanui tears away. Look how he's taking those corners so tight, not wasting any time, drives straight back out of them. This is just the first lap of 5, but 8k, 8 kilometres for these athletes. Maybe not Elzhan Bibic, for the Kenyan athletes he's got around him. 8 kilometres is pretty short for them. They'll all be familiar with running cross country back at home where they've grown up, and then racing more over the half marathon and 10Ks on the road, those sort of disciplines. So 8K on cross country might feel like a bit of a sprint to them. Elzhan Bibic is coming off a 3K indoor campaign. He's got the leg speed, so hopefully Bibic all right at the moment, but will he have the endurance to live with these 3 specialists over the longer distance? There goes Tanui out on the outside of this course in a big horseshoe around the outside of the park. They've done these loops on the inside and they're now going to swing the whole way around the outside. Serbian national tracksuit there, cheering on Elzhan Bibic, pointing down the field saying that's the guy, got to get back on terms with him. So Albert, Kipkorir, Tanui, I think in the lead at the moment. I mentioned those track personal bests last summer. He then finished it off, rounded off the whole year with a half marathon personal best of 64 minutes as well. He really committed here to a fast first half a lap. Tanui. There's the rest of the field spread out behind. No tactical running here in the senior men's race. This is the biggest field we've seen so far here in Belgrade this morning and this afternoon, spread out the whole way around this loop. Just under 2k per loop. Elzhan Bibic, the next athlete to try and close the gap up on Albert Kipkorir Tanui. Tanui still moving well. Goes past the officials there. They send him back out on another lap. Just under 5 minutes for the first lap here. Real intent for me from Tanui. Every time he turns the corner, he takes it as tight as he can and then he sprints out of it. Elzhan Bibic, he was waiting to see if the other athletes around him, Kamayo and Koros, were going to close the gap, and they haven't managed it yet. So Elzhan Bibic, the Serbian athlete, the local superstar, takes up the running for the chase pack. Bibic is successfully, I think, bridging that gap between himself and Kipkorir Tanui. Tanui with a little look back, he'll realise that Elzhan Bibic is just starting to hunt him down somewhat. The likes of Koros and Kameo, the other two Kenyans in 3rd and 4th. If they can work together, they could get back to Elzhan Bibic and to Tanui as well. This is just the second lap of 5. There goes Kameo. He's in 4th place at the moment. And the pink vest, the 105, that's Bernard Kipkorir Koros. Mixed relay gold medalist at the World Cross back in 2017 when it was in Uganda. I wonder if he'll get another outing in 2 weeks' time here in the Kenyan team. This section of the course ever so slightly uphill. So Tanui keeping the pressure on. Elzhan Bibic does look like he's going to pull up alongside the Kenyan athlete. Bibic has got a decision to make here. Does he settle and recover? Because it will have taken effort to get back to the lead here. But if Elzhan Bibic is feeling good. You feel like he should just swing straight past Tanui. But instead, Tanui looks like he's responded to the challenge from Bibic. Tanui certainly looks more comfortable around these tight bends. Bibic has been on the tight bends of the indoor track. If you do all your training on the track surface and all your racing, being here on this tusky grass is a bit different. Bibic takes a look behind. That's running tactically here. And Tanui looks like he's taken his foot off the gas slightly as well. He's being caught. These two have got a decision to make here. If they dilly-dally and look at each other, slow down at all, they're going to let Camayo and Koros back into this race, and we could have a lead pack of 4. They won't want to do this. They want to keep that to a race of 2. But Elzhan Bibic with his track speed, 7:44 or so, I think, at the Madrid World Indoor Tour Gold event in February. We'll fancy his chances if this comes down to a sprint finish. As we look further down the field, Simon Banazan, 6-time national champion, including a hat-trick of 5K titles for Serbia. He wears 108 there in the red. Tanui, I think he was almost indicating to Bibic, saying, come on then, you lead a bit. And Bibic would be saying, don't think so, I ran 3:34 for 1500. I'm not going to lead a cross-country race. I'm just going to hang in here for another few laps. Bibic has got great range though. He's been running very well over the half marathon in the last year or so. Mentioned his delight that the Belgrade Marathon organisation had paired up to deliver this cross-country race, because he wants another go at the Serbian national record for the half marathon when we look towards the autumn. This cross-country race here for Bibic, one of the longest races he'll do in his year in his preparation for representing Serbia at the European Championships and the Olympic Games. Bibic will compete at the World Cross Country Championships in 2 weeks' time as well. He was delighted that Serbia have chosen to enter a mixed relay squad. 4-mile legs, I think it's either 1600 or 2000 metres for that mixed relay. And Elzhan Bibic will line up against the best in the world in that event. Good effort here from Hillary Kipton-Mayo Kameo. He separated himself into 3rd place, but Tanui, after spending half a lap ushering Bibic through, saying, come on then, share the lead, has got bored of waiting, and Albert Kipkorea Tanui again into the lead. Perhaps he sensed the danger from the likes of Kameo and Koros, because if they got caught by Koros and Kameo, the athletes in 3rd and 4th, it gets a bit more complicated. So Bibic, heart will have sank as he realised that Tanui was perhaps sandbagging him ever so slightly, just waiting, seeing if Bibic was going to do any of the work. So much support on the sidelines for Elzhan Bibic. All of the spectators here will know who he is. They might be here supporting someone else. But when Elzhan Bibic runs past you, if you're a Serbian athletics fan, you're going to give him a cheer, give him a bit of advice, give him a bit of insight into what's going on around him. Kameo solidifying his 3rd place spot at the minute. You can see the pink vest of Koros just slipping down the field slightly. It's the 3rd lap of 5 for these men. So once we get started on the horseshoe section on the outside of the course, you could say we're around about halfway through this 8-kilometre race. So Bibic trying to hold on to Albert Tanui here. This is the outside of the course. This is the horseshoe. That gap isn't getting too much bigger to Elzhan Bibic. Bibic has just got to keep the faith there. And just concentrate on each section. Bibic, good cadence down this long straight section of the course. But Albert Tanui still so nimble on his feet, so tight round those corners, driving back out of them. It's giving him half a second here or there on every technical piece of this course. So past the halfway point in this 8 kilometre race for these men. Albert Tanui took an early lead, was reeled back in by Elzem Bibic, but he's out there on his own again. His athletes a bit further down the field formed a nice little group here. Duran Danovic represented Serbia at the European Cross Country Championships in the under-20 race last year, wearing 121 on his chest. He's still an under-23 athlete up here competing against the seniors. So Tanui and Bibic just completing their third lap. Hilary Cameo comfortably in third place at the moment. So Tanui swings round to start his fourth lap. Bibic doing everything he can to keep that gap as small as possible. Bibic was pretty open in a pre-race interview, said he has been struggling with injury this winter. He was having to do alternative training before Christmas and he wasn't going to do an indoor campaign, and then he won gold at the Balkan Indoor Championships. I think it was his 8th Balkan Championships win, and that proved to him that he was in good enough shape to do an indoor season. But indoor 15 and 3,000 metre running is very, very different from 8 kilometres of cross country. But this, for a track athlete to go out and run half an hour hard on the mud, is great preparation, great endurance training. And Bibic, as a track runner, you can see him looking over his shoulder there. This is the tough point in the race. For Elzem Bibic, he's got to keep the faith here, because once he gets into that last lap and there's around about a mile to run, that's his comfort zone, Elzem Bibic. He'll be fine with that. But Albert Tanui, the Kenyan athlete, will know that. He'll know he's got to keep the pressure on here in the penultimate lap. And Elzem Bibic, it's like a weight's come off his shoulders. He's probably got around about 3,000 metres left to run, and perhaps he's going, I'm comfortable over that distance. He's a bronze medalist from the European Indoor Championships in Istanbul last year, behind Jakob Ingebrigtsen and Adel Michel. So Bibic, perhaps for the first time, going 3,000 metres, that's all right. Just taps Tanui on the back, saying, I am here. I've got myself back to you. Now this time, it's the last time Bibic pulled up on the shoulder of Tanui. Tanui responded, put in a real burst of pace. This time Tanui hasn't responded yet. Bibic perhaps giving him 20, 30 metres to make a move, testing him, saying, how much have you got left in the tank? I'd say if Tanui doesn't lift his pace in the next couple of hairpin turns, could we see Elzem Bibic take a push at the front? If I was Bibic, I'd wait. He's got great speed. He just needs to hang in there for this lap. Absorb every move that the Kenyan athlete pulls on him. Bibic had a good run at that Madrid World Indoor Tour event in the 740s, and then missed out on the 1500 metre final in Glasgow at the World Indoor Championships. There were no time qualifiers in Glasgow, as there is. That's the state of affairs at World Athletics at the moment. Just automatic qualifiers over 1500 metres, and Bibic had to give way. He was out-sprinted by Geordie Beamish in the heat, and then everybody in the whole world was out-sprinted by Geordie Beamish, the Kiwi athlete, in the final. So there's no shame perhaps for Bibic for being kept out of that final by the eventual winner. Bibic will be keen, I'm sure, to get back into his endurance training as he launches into the summer season. For our European athletes, it is a double championship year. European Championships taking place in Rome in the second week of June. And then they have 6-7 weeks or so to recover for the Olympic Championships. The Olympic Games, which take place in Paris at the start of August. So Bibic will very much look for an endurance block here. He has said he's going to go to altitude training after the World Athletics Cross Country Championships next week. Get himself set up for that outdoor season. But right now, Elzhan Bibic has a lap and a bit to try and stay on terms with Albert Tanui, and then possibly launch an attack on the win down the home straight. I love seeing a track sprint versus an endurance sprint. Tanui, very much the endurance runner. Great 64 minutes over the half marathon. He was actually third at the 1 hour race in the Brussels Diamond League last year. The athletes always go and try and launch a world record or European record attempt over an hour. There's often other athletes in the race that aren't always at the front hitting the world records, but running very well nonetheless. And Tanui, one of those. Third place in a high quality field in Brussels. As I said, in the women's race, if there was a bell, it would be rung round about now, because these men have got one more lap to go. Very different state of affairs in the women's race. Felice Kipkorio ran away with it. She had a huge margin of victory, and she made that up steadily, lap by lap, inching ahead of the other Kenyan athlete, Valentine Jebet. In the junior women's race, Meva Mekmedovic put a strong last lap in to give herself the advantage over her teammate Lenka Nikolic. And on the junior men's side, Aldin Chatovic had a gun to take victory. But this race, very much a two-way battle between Albert Tanui of Kenya and Elzhan Bibic of Serbia, the home athlete. Tanui's got to be thinking, surely someone's going to cheer for me out here. Everybody, I'm sure, will be chanting Bibic, Bibic, Bibic. Tanui with another very good navigation of the hairpin there. You can see he doesn't lose any of his momentum, any of his cadence around the corner, and he slingshots off it. It's Bibic for me, slightly more laboured around the corners. Tanui, that was a bid there, that was a sprint. He's put the foot down, and Bibic has had nothing in response here. Slight downhill section here. You can see Bibic, it was almost like he's checking his watch there. Totally different cadence. These two have got different running styles. Tanui has put a bid in here for the win. He's probably got around about 2 minutes left of running here. Maybe 3. If Tanui did his research before the race, he would have known he does not want Elzhan Bibic for company in the last 800 metres of a cross-country race. Bibic has picked up medals at the European Under-20 and Under-23 cross-country and track. As a senior, he's veered more towards those track races away from the cross-country, but he's here putting on a really good show over 8K. But not quite as good as Albert Kipkorir Tanui at the moment. I think Tanui is emptying the tank now. He's putting absolutely everything into the first half of this final lap. Trying to mentally beat Elzhan Bibic. If he can get a big enough lead ahead of Bibic and take the belief away from the Serbian that a win is possible today, then Tanui could have it all his own way through this last lap. And that does look like a race-winning move for Albert Tanui. He tried to run away from the field in the opening lap. Elzhan Bibic put in a huge effort on the second lap to get himself back up on terms with Tanui, and then those two have run side by side for another couple of laps. And as we entered this fifth and final lap, Albert Kipkorir Tanui had a turn of pace that so far Elzhan Bibic has been able to do absolutely nothing about. Tanui looks full of running. He looks like he's judged his effort well. He's checking over his shoulder It's like he's got another couple of gears left if he needs it. 22 minutes into this race and just 2 corners left for Tanui. I'll take the left around this bottom corner here. And the pink vest of Bernard Koros. He was in 4th place last time we saw him. 3rd was with Kimeo, also of Kenya. To see if those two have switched positions. But Elsan Bibic, oh, he had a go. He really tried to stay on terms with Tanui. Tanui just too strong here in this final lap. He'll come around these lap runners. They will be sent off on another lap. And Tanui will be ushered down the finish straight. So the camera picking out Bernard Kipkirei Koros. He could be up into 3rd place. We'll keep an eye on that. There we go. Oh, 98 needs to get himself back under the tape, do his 5th lap. Because his finishing straight is only for the first few athletes this time round. And the winner is going to be Albert Kipkirei Tanui. Takes the win here at the 57th edition of the White Cross Cross Country. No more looks behind for him. He's confident that he's done enough to put away the challenge from Elsan Bibic. Kipkirei Tanui of Kenya is going to take the tape and the €800 for the win here in Belgrade. Making it a double win for Kenya. Phyllis Kipkirei won the women's, and this man, Albert Kipkirei Tanui, has won the men's. Hard fought 2nd place for Elsan Bibic. A bit of endurance work for him as he looks towards the track season. These athletes heading out on their last lap. And it is still 3rd place for the white vest of Hillary Kiptum-Mayo. Kimeo, one of the fastest half marathoners in the field. 61 seconds from a few years ago. 28:18 for 10,000 metres. Lives and trains and does a lot of his racing over in America. But he's come here and picked up a 3rd place here in this race. And a nice bit of prize money for him as well. Kimayo looking laboured. He was battling it out with Koros. But he is rewarded here with 3rd place. €500 for 3rd place. 800 for 1st, 600 for 2nd, 500 for Kimeo. There's our 4th place finisher, Bernard Kipkirei Koros. Mentioned he picked up a gold medal in the mixed relay in Uganda when the World Cross went there. He ran at 29 minutes for 10k a couple of times last January. And a 64-minute half marathon back in 2022 as well, so a high quality athlete. Picking up €300 for 4th place. A great 5th place there for Gabor Kursai, the national champion for Hungary over 10,000 metres from a couple of years ago, no, from last year. National indoor champion this year over 3,000 metres. 5th at the European Under-20s in Jerusalem last year as well. So he's a youngster, this man, just into the senior ranks, just out of the under-20 ranks. So keep your eye on him in the next couple of years. A great 5th place for him. And that will earn him €200. I'll take that back to Hungary. And 6th and €100 goes to Nikola Rajcevic, 4-time national outdoor champion over 5,000 metres and 3,000 metres indoors. 7th place to Duran Danovic of Serbia. Their international representatives went to the Euro cross country last year. 8th place to Milos Djokovic They're coming in thick and fast now. Good running from Filip Milanovic. And another look at the green vest, I think, of Novi Pazar there. Numbers all over the place there. That was, I think, Igor Yakimovsky of North Macedonia. Brilliant running from these men. Oh, there is Igor Yakimovsky. No, he's off on another lap. Must have been Milos Rancis of North Macedonia, the athlete that had his number flapping all over the place. Good run from the Romanian Darius are here. Nicola Botza. A really good indoor season with personal bests over 8 and 15. I'm not sure he would have enjoyed having to go all the way to 8 kilometres. It's a very strong argument for doing cross country if you're a track runner. It makes you strong, makes you ready for those shorter distances. So this is the conclusion of the senior men's race here at the White Cross Cross Country. So a wonderful win for Albert Kipkorir-Tanui. He had quite the battle with Serbia's Elzan Bibic, but in the end Bibic had to give way to the Kenyan. He picked up second place. It was third place for Kenya with Hilary Kimeo. 2 Kenyans and a Serbian on the podium for the senior men's. It was the same in the women's. The win went to Phyllis Kipkorir of Kenya. Second place to Kenya as well on that occasion with Valentin Jebet. And third for Serbia for the 17-year-old Sima Muric. The junior races were very much a Serbian affair. Maria Mekmedovic took the win in the junior women's ahead of Lenka Nikolic, and Jana Rajic took third. Aldin Chatovic took a runaway victory in the junior men's gun to tape. Serhej Kostic did everything he could to try and get back to first place, but he had to settle for second. And Veliko Vasiljevic took third in the junior men's. We hope you've enjoyed this coverage of the 57th edition of the White Cross Cross Country event here in Friendship Park. This is the venue that will host the World Athletics Cross Country Championships in 2 weeks. The organisers here, in collaboration with the Belgrade Marathon, have put on a fantastic event. We hope that they've enjoyed the experience and they'll take all that learning into delivering a wonderful global championships in a fortnight. We hope you've enjoyed this stream on European athletics, and we hope that you've enjoyed all the streams across this spring. We've brought you a whole load of indoor competitions and a few road and cross-country races as well as European athletics. Try and take our sport to as many viewers across the world as possible and raise the profile of the very best athletes in our continent and the wonderful work going on from all the race organisers. So for now, I'll say goodbye. My name's Hannah England. I've really enjoyed watching these cross-country races this morning, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your Saturday afternoon.
Najboljim seniorke u nagradu Lukšu, gospodin Predrag Momirović, direktor Svetskog šampionata u Krosu, gospodin Darko Habuš, direktor Beogradskog Comtrade Maratona. 6. mesto, 6th place, Aleksandra Kostadinović. 5. mesto, 5th place, Daniela Balan, Romania. 4. mesto, 4th place, Milica Tomašević, Srbija. 3. mesto, u kategoriji seniorki, 3rd place, Sajma Murić, Novi Pazar. 2. mesto, 2nd place, Valentin Jebet, Kenya. I šampionka 57. belog krosa, and the champion of 57th White Cross, Phyllis Kipkorir, Kenya. prilika dok čekamo proglašenje senjera koje će vrlo brzo uslediti. S obzirom da je trka senjera na 8 km završena, da čujemo i gospodina Darka Habuša, direktora Beogradskog Country Maratona, da čujemo vaše impresije. Čini mi se sve je bilo ok, što je najvažnije, izbjegnute su povrede, jedno kvalitetno takmičenje, da čujemo vas.
Ja kao što sam i rekao s početka da su nekako idealni uslovi za trčanje današnjeg dana, tako da zadovoljan sam baš zato što su se izbjegle neke neželjene stvari koje svaki sportista ne voli. Nije bilo povreda, nije bilo puno odustajanja. Eto, nadam se da je sve bilo dobro što se tiče tehničkog dela organizacije i da ćemo svake godine biti sve bolji.
Hvala najlepše. Ja ću vas podsjetiti dakle još jednom 6 najboljih senjora: Albert Kipkoruj, Tonui, Kenija, Elzan Bibić, Srbija, zatim Hillary Kiptum-Mayo, Kimayo, Kenija, Bernard Koros, Kenija, Gabor Karšaš, Mađarska, Nikola Rejčević, Srbija. Čekamo dakle još 10 minuta do proglašenja senjera. We are just waiting 10 minutes until the medal ceremony for the senior, the best six. Evo prilike da čujemo malo i Milicu Tomašević koja je bila četvrta u trci senjorki. Milica, ovako jedna sigurno do sada, pa da kažemo, najizazovnija trka u tvojoj karijeri. Kako ti se sve činilo? Koji su tvoji utisci?
Jeste, boga mi, pa šta da kažem, u suštini cross je zaista nešto specifično i posebno i treba posebna priprema za to, pogotovo kada cross iznosi 8 km kao u ovom slučaju, ali zadovoljna sam, svakako jedno lepo iskustvo, jaka trka, odlična konkurencija, čestitala bih i ostalim devojkama, zahvalila bih se naravno svom treneru Desimiru Gajiću i Ivani Vasilić i možemo reći da je ovo neka odlična uvertira za nešto što nas čeka za 2 nedelje, odnosno za cross sveta.
Hvala, još jednom sve najbolje.
Hvala.
Vidimo terene sajma. Vidimo terene sajma Murić. Najbolja naša takmičarka danas u senjorskoj trci. Sajma, evo, veliko zadovoljstvo, onako vrlo lepo si trčala, barem je to izgledalo zaista onako kvalitetno, što se kaže, na ovoj stazi koja nije ni malo naivna, 6,5 kilometara. Tvoji utisci?
Pa bilo je dosta teško, 8 kilometara, što je...
Tako je, 8, izvini.
Što je za mene izuzetno dugo za cross. Inače nisam navikla ovu dužinu da trčim cross, ali pošto sam se prijavila za seniorke, morala sam da istrčim tu dužinu. Dosta zahtevna podloga, nije toliko i malo uspona i nizbrdica, ali bilo je za zglobove malo zeznuto. Borila sam se od početka do kraja, sa svojih nepunih 18 godina sam prezadovoljna i vremenom i plasmanom i nadam se da ću da nastavim da nižem uspehe.
Bravo, hvala još jednom čestitke i želimo puno uspeha, pre svega u ovoj godini.
Hvala puno i vama.
Hvala. Evo ćemo malo Aleksandru Kostadinović. Aleksandra, danas bila 6. na izuzetno jakoj konkurenciji. Vaši utisci?
Pa iskreno, nisam očekivala da ću ući u prvih 6, ali dobra trka, dobra staza i čekamo svetsku krosu.
Bravo. Šta kaže Jovana Šubatlija?
Pa, s obzirom da se tek vraćam u formu, meni je ova staza bila super, nije bilo toliko teško i jedva čekam svetsko prvenstvo da gledamo kako će to biti.
Bravo, danas 8. u trci senjorki na 8 kilometara.